Good evening, everyone. This is Tanya of Sidegood Crafts, and welcome to my channel. Welcome back. Good to see you. Glad to have you. I was requested a different kind of tutorial tonight. I was requested to show someone how to do a water slide on a cup. So don't leave though if you're not into tumblers, because the process that I'm going to use and this product that I'm going to use, you can use on other things, crafters. You can use this on ceramic plates. You can get a plate from the thrift shop and do this. My daughter made Christmas gifts that way. She got some little I wish I had some little smaller salad plates that were plain in the middle, and she took her design and she used a water slide on that, and then she coated it with polyurethane, I think, or polyacrylic, one of those sealers, and did that, and so that worked really well. You could Mod Podge over it. You could use this on honestly probably any slick surface. It's got to be smooth and to do this, to make it stay, and then you've got to seal it with something. So if you're doing that with your project, this will work really well. So what I'm going to do, I've got a cup here that I actually had a couple orders luckily that I needed to get done. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to do this. It's really a simple technique, and you'll be surprised at how easy it is. But think about different ways that you might be able to use it in your crafts. Maybe you have a vase you want to decorate, or you can do this with, I've got some labels here that I'm going to put on here. These are clear water slides, so when it goes on, you won't see the white, and I'll explain all that. But you could put this on, my goodness, lots of different things. As long as it's sealed on, I don't think it would work on paper per se, but if your paper had a slick surface, I bet it would. So that's something I could work on trying too. But let's start today with this, and maybe you'll think of some things that you can use it on. So first of all, I printed this image on water slide paper. I use Hayes water slide decal for inkjet, and the printer that I have is an inkjet. I do believe that there's also a water slide decal paper for, what's the other alternative, inkjet or laser, a laser printer. I think there's one for that as well. You need to make sure that you've got the right paper for your printer. And like I said, this is a watercolor, this is a clear watercolor. It also comes with a white background. So if I used a white background, this white would remain white. But this one is clear, and I'll show you what I mean, because once we, this is gonna be kind of like a temporary tattoo. The ones we used to get in Cracker Jack boxes, and you get them wet, and then you pull the paper away from the picture. You'll see. But it's a really cool technique, and I use this on cups all the time. I know I'm not the only one that does this. Lots and lots of people have done it. I learned from somebody else, watching tons of videos. There's lots of people that use these. I'm not inventing anything, not trying to. The reason I use the Hayes water slide cup paper, it's the first one I ever tried, and it works for me. And I figure, if somebody wants me to try something else, I'm happy to do it. But until then, I'm buying this one just because I know it works for me. So after printing it out with my printer, the next step is that I paint over it with a clear paint. This is the one I use. I use Ultra Matte. I like the matte finishes better. They tend to dry faster. And it doesn't matter as far as shiny goes, because you've got to layer it and seal it with something anyway, and that's going to usually be shiny. So it'll shine up again. And actually it looks kind of shiny on here anyway. But I use the Ultra Matte. Again, like I said, it doesn't run as much as Glossy. Glossy seems to have different chemicals in it that react differently. So I prefer this one. I give it a heavy coat. Some people will spray it 3 or 4 times. Honestly, if you make sure that you've got your decal nice and coated the first time, you don't need to go through all that. But, and the thicker that it gets, the more likely it'll crack. But you got to get enough or it'll tear. So you got to get just enough. Make sure it's well coated, so that you don't miss any spots. You'll know if it doesn't get enough. So the next thing we're going to do, and make sure that you paint it when it's all in one page and then cut it out. And you do want to cut as close as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you do want to kind of cut close. You'll have less risk of any lines showing. But again, once you seal it, the line will not show unless your cup is not smooth. So say if I had to sand this down a lot because maybe I had some bumps or what have you, and it does need to be smooth or this won't lay flat. So if I had to sand it down and it's got scratch marks or dust from the sandpaper, and then I put this over it, all of those marks are going to be sealed in there forever. They won't seal up. So you've got to make sure that your cup is smooth before you do this, okay? Now, next step, now that I've cut my pieces out, and I'm going to do this for you twice. I'm going to get a bowl of water. Warm water works best. Doesn't need to be hot, but warm water from your tap will be fine. You don't need to heat it up or anything. Just let it be. And when you put this in, you'll see it starts to curl. And it's going to curl up on me, and that's okay. The way that I know when this is ready, it'll start to flatten out. And then, well, there's another way too. And then it'll slide easily. And I'll show you what I mean when we get there. So we're just going to let that sit in there for a minute. I've actually got 2 cups. Now, another way that you could do this, if you say you had a design and you needed it to be white behind it. Now, this is not a good example because I don't want, maybe I wanted this white behind here, okay? And I just had the clear decals. So what I would do in that case, I would print my image backwards. So it would be UB, you know, it would read backwards. And then I would spray paint it and I would I would spray paint it white and that would seal it. I would spray paint it white and then I would apply it this way and then get it wet and slide off the paper and it would be perfect on there and it would just look just like that when I was done. So even though you're printing it backwards, when you put it on this way, it would be forwards once I took the paper off. So that's another way you can do it if you want a white background, okay, on this with the clear water slide. Now, this water slide is all flattened out. It should be ready. And let me see if I can get this up close enough. It's gonna be a little messy. Let me get a paper towel real quick. I don't drip all over everything. I've got my paper stuff here too, so I don't want to drip on everything. Now, let's see if it'll work. Can you see that? Let's see if we can slide it. Yep, see how it's just sliding off the paper? I'm gently just pulling it away from the, sliding it against the paper. It's got a little, the glue underneath there is a little bit slick. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wet my cup, just like that. I'm gonna put the decal on there. See, now it's stuck up above the edge of the paper. And I'm gonna hold it there, and I'm going to gently pull this paper out from underneath it. And now my decal is applied. Now it's going to probably have some wrinkles and some air bubbles. That's okay because we put water underneath it. It's going to help it slide a little bit on there. You need to work fairly quickly but very gently. One of the things you can do, get your fingers wet, rub those wrinkles out. You can kind of pull it a little bit. I've got a couple air bubbles in there. You want to get those air bubbles out. They will show underneath the finish. So I'm sorry if I'm off camera, guys. I also want to do this right for my customer. This is an order, so I want to make sure it's done right. But you want to work those wrinkles out just like you would any vinyl, and you can use a pokey tool and gently poke a little hole. Like if you get a big bubble in here, I'm trying to see with my lighting. Can you see that, you guys? You probably can't see it. Let's see here. If you get a hole in the middle or anywhere in there and you can't work it to the edge and work it out, you can gently use your pokey tool, your whatever you have, and poke it and then just wipe lightly. Another thing that you can do that I actually prefer besides using my fingers when I'm doing this is use a paper towel. It's got just enough grip that it'll help smooth those edges out. It'll help dry up the water spots or the water underneath it. And it works really well. Now, even though I just put this on here, you can hardly see the lines around, right? If you look carefully, you can, but it's still hard to see. Once you put the epoxy on, it'll be impossible to see that because my cup was not scratched or anything underneath it. Okay, and the air bubbles are pretty much done. And hopefully that's straight because I was so busy looking at my phone to make sure you guys could see it. I forgot to look to see if it was straight. I think it's pretty good. Let's hope so. I'm proud of my 5 rating in my Etsy shop. All right, let's keep it there. All right, oops, now that looks a little bit high on that side. All right, and these will stretch a little bit, so you can kind of, just a little bit. You don't want to tear it, but I think that looks pretty good. See how that worked out? You guys, this could be a game changer for lots of arts and crafts. So like I said, even if you don't do tumblers, you could use this technique for other things too. Maybe you guys can think of some stuff that I haven't thought of. I like the plates, and just remember it's got to be sealed. So let's do this again. I got one more. Believe it or not, I had 2 orders for the same cup, one day after the other. All right, well, this is a very popular cup actually in my shop right now, and I'm happy about that. I've had lots of these. It's probably because it's summertime, everybody's going to the beach. Have you guys been to the beach this year yet? This summer? Is it summer yet? I'm not even sure. You know what? I have lived in Alabama for 6 years, I think now, and I have not once been to Florida or to the beach since I've lived here, and it just makes me sad. I really need to do it. There's so many beautiful beaches, I'm told, out here, and I have not seen them yet. But you know, when I go home to California next month, I'm going to be going to the beach at least one day, I hope. Probably not. I never do. I stay and visit my parents because I don't get to see them. All right, we're getting this one wet again, just like the other one. And we're going to make sure that this one's ready, so we're going to slide it. See if it'll slide. This one's not quite done. It's a little bit too hard to slide, so I'm going to put it back in there just a little longer. Just a little longer. Let's see, what else can I tell you about this? There's really not a lot to say. This is a very simple process. I think it takes some practice to get it right. I would always print a couple. I've messed up on so many of these, you guys, but you can just peel it right back off. If you mess it up, peel it off and do it again. Print out a couple of them at a time. You can print it from any program, whether you use Design Space for, you know, I know a lot of people with their Cricuts, they use Design Space. You can do it from there. Or you can, you know, you could use a program like Word. It doesn't matter what program you use to print these out. It just needs to be a good program that's going to give you a quality picture or the quality that you want. So, yeah. So any picture at all you can use on here. You can use a photograph. I've used family photos for orders on cups and such. Anything. So use your imagination. What could you make? What would you like to make with this process? It's really a cool tool. All right, so there we go. There's number 2. You saw me slide that off. So easy, right? Was perfect. Now, with this one, I'm going to use a paper towel because that's how I prefer to do it. And this one's got some big bubbles in there too, so we're just going to work those out to the edges really softly and gently. Stretch just a little bit, try to get those wrinkles out, and you see how easily it moves if it's wet underneath. Once it starts drying, it's not going to be that easy to move, so be careful to get it straight while it's still easy. All right, hopefully you guys can see that well. All right, give me some ideas. What would you use this process on? What would you make? I think it'd be cute for, you could make little cabochons. You could, you know, put a favorite photo on there. Ooh, that would be cute, actually. Especially if you dabble in resin already. There's lots of different things you can do. You could, and if you don't use resin normally, you could use the UV resin, the stuff that they use for nails, and get a little UV flashlight and use that. I've used that for a couple projects. Not with this, but it would work just as well as anything. Yeah, so that's it, you guys. That's how to apply a water slide to your project, whichever project you choose to apply it to. Like I said, leave me some comments below. Tell me what you would use it on. I hope this helps. If there's anything I can explain, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them below. If I don't have the answers, maybe somebody else will. I appreciate you guys all coming and watching my videos and being a part of my YouTube family. For more, hit that notification button, like and subscribe. Love you all. I hope you have a wonderful day. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.